Hello my friends, welcome to Guitar Masterclass number 7. Before we go any further, please download your free paperwork in the blue link in the description box below. Today we're going to look at the dreaded bar chords, but don't run away. You're going to understand everything about them by the time we leave this lesson. So download the paperwork, stick with it. If an advert pops up, go and have a cup of tea or go to the loo or whatever. Don't run off. This is important. This is probably one of the most important lessons that you'll do, whether with me or with anyone. But I promise you now, it'll probably be easy with me because I'm going to simplify it all for you and put it across in a way you will understand. So paperwork first, download it in the blue link. While you're there, click on the thumbs up to like the video. Hopefully you are going to like it. Share it to all your chums. Subscribe please if you haven't already done so, or because try to keep it fun. We have a good laugh. Today, as I said though, it's all about bar chords. Bar chords scare a lot of people, but you'll know when you look at your music books, you'll be playing away happily in your D and your A, and then all of a sudden a B minor will pop in there, or you'll be playing an E and an A, and then you'll see a C sharp minor will pop in there, and it'll ruin it for you, and you'll think, oh no, and you'll go back to playing Bob Dylan songs using 3 simple chords, which is fine, but we're here to learn a bit more. All right, so paperwork first. Now, a little thing. These are things I wish I'd known when I was a kid. When I started to play, I was unaware that every single shape that we know down here is movable. Okay. Now, the 5 main open chords that we play, all right, are C, A, G, E, and D. And each one of those shapes, believe it or not, is movable. In classical guitar, we use them all the time, all right? In rock and pop, we tend not to, because, we haven't learned, so we haven't developed enough skill to use them that much. What we tend to do mainly is use 2 of those shapes to move up and down the neck, mainly. And they are E and A, and they serve us perfectly well whilst playing country, pop, rock, folk and all that sort of stuff. We can touch on the other shapes. It's called the caged system, which I'm going to explain in the next lesson, in the Masterclass 8. We'll talk about that in the next one. But for now, we're going to look at the 2 main shapes that we need to play the bar chords in order to get us by in all the other genres of music, all right? E, that's one shape we need to know, and A, which I always play using these 3 fingers. Why those 3 and not these 3? Because they're thinner, and I'm getting old, and my fingers, like my head, are getting fatter. All right, but on the serious note, the reason is so I can just move it up and do that. We'll get to that. Right, paperwork. Have you downloaded it? If you have, I want you to look at page 1 and you'll see this. Now, here we are, E major, E minor, E 7th, E minor 7th, and E major 7th. We're only going to look at the E for a minute. Let's look at what they look like on the neck. There's our E major, or E as it is commonly known. Our root note is here. Bass note, root note of the chord, as in E major. If I take off my first finger, it will become E minor. If I take off my 3rd finger, put this one back on, it becomes E 7th. If I take off my first finger as well and leave this one on its own, it becomes E minor 7th. And then finally the 5th shape is an E major 7th. 1, 2, 3, E major 7th. Remember the 5 faces of chords, folks? Remember what that was? Well, let's not go there. You know what I mean. Right, so E, E minor, E 7th, E minor 7th, and E major 7th. All right, they're the shapes that we're going to move. Now, it's important that you know what they are here. All right, the key to this is knowing what the root note is. Now, if I were to pretend this finger's been chopped off for a moment and I've only got these 3 left and do this, there's my shape here. And with this finger, if I wanted to turn this chord E into an F, which is the next in the scale, E. It would be nice if I could just do that, but I can't, because I have to take this little thing up with us, which is called a nut. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with a finger or a capo. It's like a capo. This is the bar, B-A-R-R-E. Why is it spelt that way? Who knows? Don't care. It's a bar. But can you see that the actual main shape that we're playing is still the E shape? However, it's now called F because the root note, the bass note, has moved to an F. So F major, and all the inversions here are the same as we did when it was open. F major, F minor, F seventh, F minor seventh, and F, if I can do it with, I always do it, I'll do it this way. I put one finger between the two. And F major seventh. Okay, so those 5 different shapes we can use anywhere on the neck. So say for example I wanted to play a G minor seventh, or I wanted you to play a G minor seventh. You'd say, well, I've got no idea. And I'd say, well, think about it. E, F, F sharp, G. So there's our, we know our bar's in the right position now, G. But that note at that position on the 3rd fret is G. And then G major, G minor, G seventh, G minor seventh. You get the idea? If we moved it up one more fret, it's G sharp minor seventh. The next one up would be A minor seventh, because the root note tells us the first part of the name, A something or other, in this case minor seventh. A, in this case, seventh. In this case, A major. In this case, A major seventh. All right. Now, in order to help you get your head around those positions on the neck, if you look at page 3 of your paperwork, you'll see this. This is the neck, starting with the open chord E, and as you work your way along to fret 12. Why only up to fret 12? Well, after fret 12 everything starts again. So fret 13 would be F, and so on. Okay. So as I say, forget about this one for a minute. We'll look at that in a minute. Okay. So here are our notes along the fretboard, and these are really important. It doesn't matter what instrument you play, they're always going to be in this particular order. We're starting on an E because our bass note on our guitar, that's our datum point, that's where we're going to start for that particular shape. E, F. What does this mean? What do these symbols mean? A little hash sign or what it'll be? Well, that means sharp, and this means flat. Now all you need to know if you're just starting to play the guitar is this: sharp means higher and flat means lower. All right, it's higher than F, so we can call it F sharp, but it's lower than G, so we can call it G flat. F sharp, G flat. Okay, the next one along, there's our G there. G sharp, because this is higher than G, but it's lower than A, or A flat. A sharp, B flat. Now there are a couple of positions on the neck where there are no sharps and flats, or stepping stones if you like, in between. One is between E and F, and one is between B and C. Why is that, I hear you ask? I've no idea. I don't care. I don't know. You can see it clearly on a piano where you see 2 white keys together and there's no black one between them, and then further along another 2 white keys. There's probably some reason, you know, historically as to why that is. I don't know. Don't care. I'm not interested. All I need to know is that that's what happens. Okay, and we work our way along like that. Okay, so E, F, F sharp, G, blah 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 blah, all the way along. And if you play those particular inversions that we did, we end up with 5 chords that we didn't know. So say I wanted you to play, so I said to you, I want you to play a G sharp, all right? You'd say, I don't know how to do it. And I'd say, well, you do. If you look at your thing, you'll see that it says E, which is open, F at the 1st fret, so put your fingers on F, F sharp, G, what did I say, G sharp minor was it or something? So it's G sharp. What do we do to turn these 3 fingers into a minor chord? We take off that finger. All right. If I wanted an A minor, Of course we could play an easy one here, but let's say your mate's playing the easy one and you wanted to play a different one. You'd say E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. What do we do to make it into a minor chord? We take off the second finger. It's always the same rule for that particular bunch of shapes. All right, everything's based around this. Okay, it all comes down to that. The only difference is we're using one of our fingers to replace the nut. Now similarly, we do the same with the next most common movable chord, which is an A. Now the datum point for this is different. The A string here, that's the note that we have to pay particular attention is when we're using the A as a bar chord. Let's look at it. There's A major. Okay, so we're starting, the reference is at A major. If I was to move this up, again, I would have to put my finger across. This is A sharp. Now you can either play this note here or mute it. We tend to mute it with the tip of our finger because we want the root note to play. Okay, it's not wrong if you play that, but it tends to overpower the chord. Okay, we're looking for the root note. So my diagram shows you with it all the way across because I'd rather you play it all the way across rather than do that. Okay, but if you can just get your finger to just touch and mute it, then that'll be fine. That's what I'm going to do. So there's our A sharp because it's higher than A. Next one along would be B, and then C because there's nothing between B and C. Now let's just stay here for a minute. If I wanted to turn that to a C minor, how would I do it? Okay, right, well, let's take a step back. Look at these 5 shapes to do with the chord of A. Let's look at the open shapes. There they are there. Can you see them? Down the bottom here. Let's have a look at them. Make sure you're looking at this as I'm explaining. All right. So there's our A major. A major. Okay. Put this finger on the second string now. Remove your little finger. A minor. Okay. Bring your third finger down to the second string now. A 7th. Put this finger back on here. Take this one off. A minor 7th. And then finally bring this finger up to the third string and put your third finger on the second at the second fret for the A major 7th chord. Why am I laughing? Go and look at the 5 faces of chords and you'll find out. A major 7th. So we've got 5 shapes there all to do with A. So it's always important that you know what they are. Excuse me, down at this end. A minor, A 7th, A minor 7th, A major 7th. Alright, so far so good. Now we have to sort of learn how to play those with these 3 fingers. So let's go back to what we said before about the C, A sharp, B, C. Say I wanted to play, that's a C major there. Now why would I want to go to the trouble of doing that? If I could do this, play a C like that. Or maybe one of your mates is playing that inversion and you don't want to do the same as him, play something different, so you do this. Okay, so C major, C minor. See the way I've changed the shape? C 7th, C minor 7th, and C major 7th. If I moved that shape up to the next fret, what would it be? C sharp, because sharp means higher. C sharp, major 7th. What's after C sharp? What's the alphabet name? D. Major 7th. What's the next one after D? D sharp, because it's higher than D. Now it's higher than D, but it's also lower than E, isn't it? D sharp, D higher. What's the next in the alphabet? It's E. But we're not at E yet. We're lower than E. E lower. E flat. D sharp and E flat are the same. Sometimes in a book you'll see the chord written as E flat. Other times you might see it written as D sharp. I don't know why that is. All I need to know and all you need to know is how to play the damn thing, okay? So are we clear on that? So let's recap. First thing you need to learn is this. You need to know what these shapes are open, all right? You need to know the open shapes Very, very important that we do that. Let's go over it again. E major. See the way I'm using the root note to remind you? E, 6th string, major. E minor. E 7th. E minor 7th. And then finally E major 7th. Alright? Let's look at the A now. Root note just changed to the 5th string. A major, A minor, A 7th, A minor 7th, and A major 7th. Alright? So once you know what they are in your head, played there, the tricky bit is now you playing the same inversion, the same shapes with the other 3 fingers, keeping the first finger free in order to play the bar. Page 1 we've looked at in quite a lot of detail. We've looked at the sort of neck on page 3. We'll look at that again in a minute. Page 2, this is showing you, it's looking at the first position, the first bar position, which in the case of the E shape would be F, and in the case of the A shape it would be A sharp because it's higher up. So what do I mean by that? Let's go over it again. If I were to there's up my E chord there. If I were to rearrange my fingers like that and move it along one and put my first finger now across there to take the place of this, F, alright, F, and all the subsequent chords that are related to it. If I was to play my A chord now and move it along and put my finger there, that would be A sharp or B flat. A sharp because it's higher than A, B flat because it's lower than B. Alright? Now the good news is there are 12 frets on our guitar, as you know. 12 positions. Okay. And we've done 5 different shapes on each fret. 5 12s is 60. So we've got 60 chords that we could play here. And we've got another 60 here. So we've got 120 chords that we didn't know we had, okay? And these are the things that I wish I'd have known all those years ago, because I didn't know. In fact, I nearly got kicked out of my first band because I knew how to play all this stuff, but I couldn't remember what they were called. I couldn't figure out where on the neck do I find these things. So I'm going to give you a little tip now. All right, now this is important again. It's important. You need to go for a wee. Go now. All right, while the advert's showing, but stick with it because all of this is vitally important. All right, I'll get a cup of tea, whatever you want to do. You'll notice on your guitar you've got dots. Okay, there's one. Some people have one here, one there, and one there, and so on. We're only interested really in these 3. Okay, now think of this little silly phrase. Girls and boys. Why do I say girls and boys? And it's important that you say it that way. Girls, G. That dot at the 3rd fret represents G. Girls. This one here represents and, okay, A. And this one, B, boys. Girls and boys. Now, if I said to you now, I want you to play using a bar chord, a G, you'd say, oh, hang on, G, I know where that is. Girls. If I said I wanted an A, you'd know it was there. And if I said B, you'd know it was there. If I said B flat, you'd say, well, flat's lower than B. You'd go there. If I wanted an A sharp, you'd say, well, there's A. It's higher than A. Again, it's there. I often try and kid my students doing that. And often do. If I wanted a G flat, you'd say, oh, hang on. Well, hold on, I know where G is. G, girls. One lower, flat. All right. Now, the rest you can stumble your way through. We know that the first one here is E and F. Okay, we sort of know those anyway. But it's when you get around here you don't know. So, let's say I wanted to play B. You'd say, but girls and B. Straight there. Now, you can work your way from there to the end. We're almost at the 12th fret here. So, B, straight to C, nothing between B and C. E and F, nothing between them. B and C, nothing between them. Why? Don't know, don't care. B, C. Okay, from C, we can stumble our way to the end now. C's there, C sharp, D, D sharp, and those 2 dots here represent the octave. It's exactly the same note. Anything past these two dots, like any other dots that you see, are just copies of these dots, all right? And that's what it means. So that's how you remember girls and boys. I have a little rhyme for those, okay? That little phrase. It's important because once you know that, you'll be able to jump G flat. How did you know? G flat means lower. G sharp, G means higher. That's it. Or A flat. Oh, get the idea. Now let's look at the same with the A chord. These dots, these three dots, clearly they can't mean G, A, and B because they're relating to this bass string here. When we're looking at the fifth string, they follow the alphabet C, D, and E. Okay, I put the rhyme together with G, A, and B because they don't follow the alphabet. You go from G to an A and then a B. But on the fifth string, these three dots represent C, D, and E. So if I want the chord C or C major, I would put a bar across there, see where the dot is, and I would play the major chord there, in this case the A shape. Right? If I wanted a C using the other bar chord, girls and boys, I would go to the one after the B. Okay, can either the same chord, different inversion. So let's assume I'm going to play a chord at the, say I wanted to play a D. Say somebody's playing a D there. We wanted to be clever and play a bar chord D. We could say, okay, well I'm going to put my bar here. Why would I put it there? C, D, because that's our root note. And I'd put these three fingers here. And somebody else might decide they want to play the D there. You know, using the other shape. Now, these three fingers, you'll see a lot of electric guitarists tend to do this and abbreviate the three fingers with one. That's perfectly fine. Or the third finger, whichever's easiest. I'm doing it like this because I need to show you the movement between the different fingers. It's important that we do it that way. Classical players would play it like this, all right? Rock players, because we're a bit lazy, would do it like that. There's no way we could get away with it in classical playing doing this. You know, you need the dexterity of the individual fingers to play those pieces because it's a million times harder to play classical guitar than any other style. I'm telling you that for nothing. Right, so the things that I wished I'd known when I was younger, I've just told you the main one. All right, very, very important that we do this. Don't run away from them, okay? Don't run away from them. If you do this, you'll be able to play so many songs. Now, how do you know? I've touched on this in another lesson. How do you know how to get your bar correct, okay? Now, the best way to put your bar in the right position for those new is grab your guitar. If I was to hold my guitar like this, it's quite heavy, you know, and if I put my arm outstretched, you'll see the way my finger is rolling to this outer side here. Can't help but roll. Turn it around, okay? And when you play a bar chord, your nail should always be pointing away from you. See the way it's not pointing that way? It's that way. And the side of your finger here, that's bony and hard, okay? We don't want to use the fleshy part, which is all crinkly like this. We want to use the side of the finger and the others curl in behind it like this, okay? Now you'll also notice that when you're playing, these are things that we tend not to know when we first start, but I'm putting pressure with my arm here as if to pull the guitar this way, and I'm putting pressure on my finger here as if to counter that pressure. And you know, there's quite a lot of power. You end up with a sore neck, you know, if you're doing this every day, as I often do, because we're putting a lot of pressure on in order that we can keep this bar down. If you do it quite limply, it won't work. There's an element of force involved. But eventually, with practice, and with a decent guitar, okay, because if you're playing a shitty guitar and the strings, you know, are that high, I could walk underneath them without ruffling my hair or dislodging my hat, then you're wasting your time. You've got to have a decent guitar. That old saying where they say, oh, you know, a bad workman always blames his tools. That's what they say, isn't it? It's a load of crap, because in the next breath they say you need the right tools for the job, okay? You need a guitar with a really nice low action. I've just changed the action on this literally half an hour ago because it had sort of gone a bit high. So in order to do these things, make sure that your guitar isn't letting you down. all right? Because quite often people think they can't play, and it's not them, it's the instrument they're trying to play on, all right? So there we are. We've had masterclass number 7, things that I wished I'd have known. And it took me years to figure all that out. You know, and too many tutors out there, they go on. I mean, some of them are brilliant, don't get me wrong. Some of them are really, really good. But some of them, they just overload you with too much theory. Instead of saying take a finger off to play a minor chord, or, you know, that stuff that we talk about, higher and lower, what does sharp mean? You don't need to go through the whole, you know, rigmarole of all that theory. Just know what to do. You can always find that out later. Key is to be able to play the songs, you know. Right, it's Wednesday today. On Saturday, I'm doing a masterclass where you can ring me, not ring me, you can message me and all that sort of stuff. And we can talk about this, we can talk about any of the other tutorials we've done, things that you want to do, stuff that you're struggling with, all that sort of stuff we can get into. Any questions you've got, feel free. It starts at 9 p.m. My time, GMT. What's that, 9 o'clock? I think that makes it about 5 o'clock in the States. But that's what, and it's this Saturday, which is on the 6th, I think. Okay, Saturday the 6th. So look out for the masterclass. Enjoy this lesson. Do not fear it. It's probably the most important, and I mean this sincerely, joking about, the most important lesson you should do. And again, thanks for all those super thanks that you send me, and the tea and the coffee money. I do appreciate it, and I put it to damn good use. Saturday masterclass, and share everything you like, everything on this channel, including all this. It's all free. Do with it as you wish. All right, that's all I say to you. All I ask you to do is subscribe and tell all your mates. All right, until then, until Saturday, when we do the live stream, I'll love you and leave you. Take care.